What's going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to Little Bit Man Gaming, where for right now, I'm not doing the gaming part, but this is also the review and reaction parts to TV shows. And this video in particular is going to be for Stephen King's The Stand 2020 miniseries. If you don't know, yes, they did a remake. At first, it was going to be a movie, but then they decided to do the remake The Stand as a TV show. But before we get into all that, if y'all could hit that like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification button, leave a comment, do all that. I greatly appreciate it because it helps me grow as a YouTuber and it helps my channel grow overall. Plus, we're trying to get to the goals of 100 subscribers. Let's do this. Get me to 100 subscribers, and we'll go from there and see what the next goal is. But for right now, let's get into this review of my episode 1 called Stephen King's The Stand. Episode 1 is called The End. Now, let's get into what the premise is. So I'm gonna give you the premise of what the series is about. The Stand is described as King's apocalyptic vision of a world decimated by a plague and embroiled in an elemental struggle between good and evil. The fate of mankind rests on the frail shoulders of 108-year-old Mother Abigail and a handful of survivors. Their worst nightmares are embodied by a man with a lethal smile and unspeakable powers, Randall Flagg, the nefarious Dark Man. Now, if you don't know, for all intents and purposes, if you never heard of The Stand or read the book or whatever, Randall Flagg, you could say he's like the devil, if you want to say he's akin to like the devil. Though it is not necessarily mentioned if he was the devil. Now, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I don't think he's actually mentioned as the devil, but he's akin to him. Like, he's like the devil, and he's like the main antagonist. He's the reason why what happens to the world happens. Now, for the episode 1, The End, is it introduces you to what happened. When the episode begins, the world had already ended, right? So everybody, it's only a handful of surviving people left. The world's already ended. It's like but the bodies of the people who died are still in their houses and stuff. And I'm gonna tell you why. Here's why. So, pretty ironically, of what we are going through, of the pandemic, right? In the show, and I think in the book too. Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. I love Stephen King. I've been watching the movies, but I haven't really read the books. I read a little bit of like the It books, but and just like this, I think that was it. I don't think I read anything else other than the It books. I might have read a little bit of the Stand books too, but I know enough about the movie versions of it. But I don't know like everything that happened. Like, I know for a fact in Stephen King's It, there are certain things that they couldn't put in TV show or movie wise because certain things is unethical. Stephen King's books, they push the envelope. And he had things in the book, like for It particularly. There's a scene, or there in his book, he wrote a scene that would never be in you will never see on TV. You'll never see on movies and stuff because it will be considered a particular type of illegal pornographic stuff like that. I would say it's considered illegal because it involves children. And one of the reason why I bring that up because I just want to make a point that his stories push the envelope, right? They push the envelope, and they're just things that you won't see. So, there's like things. I know that my point about that is that it's things in the books that are way different than the show, and there's things that are different in the books that's way different than the It movies, all like that. So I don't know for a fact what is the same and what is the difference between the book and the stuff when it comes to the stand, but that's follow me. So what happens in that first episode, we are introduced to the virus that takes out humanity. The virus is a weaponized strain of influenza, or as they call it, Captain Trips. I was about to say Tips. It says Captain Trips. It's caused an apocalyptic pandemic that kills billions in weeks. So yeah, we see that within the matter, like it says, in a matter of weeks. I'm not going to read you the whole thing because this whole thing and what I want to tell you is spoilery. So I'm going to try to give you a summarization of what you're going to see. So, but yes, that part I can tell you because that's what the show is about. So it's a pandemic, and it will have guest stars on there. So you will see certain episodes, certain people show up that won't be in the episodes going forward because it's only for that particular episode because they guest stars. But yeah, in the post-apocalyptic, the world's been is in a apocalyptic epidemic. No, pandemic. Unlike us, somewhat like us, but unlike us, in this particular setting, billions have died to the point where there are cities. There's either cities with no survivors or cities with 1 or 2 people, and we see that in. I've seen the first and second episode. We'll be doing the second video because these are hour long, almost hour long videos. I mean hour long episodes. So I had to do separate videos for them. But I've seen the first and second episode. But in the first episode, we were introduced to, the pandemic. What happened is like I said, it's a weaponized super strain of influenza. And it takes out billions of people. Billions. And we're introduced to 2 particular survivors. A boy and a girl. The girl is Franny Goldsmith. She's the babysitter to Harold, and basically they show you anybody who's affected. When you watch the show, you could tell who's affected because they'll go. That's the first symptom. They just no, okay. No, they think they just got a cough. That's the first symptom of somebody's been affected. It's the cough, then the sneeze, and then all of a sudden it gets ew, ew. It makes me want to throw up thinking about it right now. But the way how they puff up and from here, a whole bunch of ears just coming out ew, to the point where you go like that. Shit it. I'm gonna get myself to throw up there. Think about it. This might be a tough review. Oh, I had to bring myself down because just thinking about it makes me want to puke because that's a lot that they overdo it. And I know y'all probably think, what you doing? I'm not trying to act silly, but it's ew. It's just so much. I literally I had to just to do this video. I had to fight to watch the TV. I'm oh God, I don't want it. Oh God, it's just so much. Oh God, oh. I'm looking at. I'm I'm a bitch. I can't watch this. Oh God, I'm about to throw up. But yeah, it's just the way how they look sick. It's just oof. I wouldn't advise eating while watching this show. I wouldn't advise eating when they show you how the sick people look. But yeah, it is taking out people, right? So these are the first 2 people you meet Well, it's three people. You meet three people. The first two of the three is Harold and Franny. Harold is your typical geeky kid, but he don't have glasses like me. Of course, I did that. I did that to point out being like, you know how geeks, you know how they say geeks be like, oh. And for the record, I hate that word geek. I don't think that. I think we should not call people geeks. I think we should call people, instead of calling. I think that's like hurtful to call smart people geeks, or weird and inadequate people geeks. You know, I can't change the word in one day, but I think calling somebody a geek because they're they really smart is wrong. I hate using that word. I hate when people use the word. Like, I was the type of person in school where if I heard you call somebody a geek, I would be like, that just because he's super smarter than you, don't mean he's a geek. Now, trust me, I would have friends who see this video like, you did not say nothing like that. I did. I hated the word geek because just because you're super smart doesn't mean you should be, shamed for it. Those are the people who goes on and be the great leaders of the world, and we need those type of people. But yes, he's an awkward. He's not super smart, but he's talented. He's a talented book story writer. He could write stories and create stories. So we got Harold, the child that used to be babysitted by his former babysitter, Franny. Now, typically, when you know where I'm going with this, right? The reason why they sold them two is because Harold has a crush on his babysitter Franny. So Harold is the kid. He's the kid. When he sees Franny, he's like, "Oh man, like I want to be with her so bad. Like I'm in love with her." And if you ever had a babysitter, like I never had a babysitter like that to where I could have my first crush was on my babysitter. So I never had it like that because when I got on it, I was good enough to babysit my damn self. But I never had a babysitter to where I could be like, oh man, I'm in love. Now I know what it means to be in love with a woman, But that's how he is. He's in love with Franny. He got a little bit of a stalker. He's a little bit of a stalker. He stalks her stuff, but that's what it is. They showing you the connection between the two, and then as the days and weeks pass, they both lose their loved ones to the virus. They lose their loved ones, and certain things happen to bring Franny and Harold closer. Franny is a little frustrated with Harold because he's always around. He won't leave her alone. She gets mad at him, say some things. Then the virus bring them two together. Not like boyfriend and girlfriend together, but it brings them closer together. Because a certain thing happens, and Harold gets involved, and he tells her, he did this to tell her her plan, his plan, that they need to leave. Because this is nothing but a graveyard. Where they was at is nothing but a graveyard of dead people, and they know that they are immune to the virus. Wherever this virus is they are immune to it, and that's I remember in the original mini TV series it was something similar like that too. There's always some type of virus, but it's always a group of people who's immune to the virus that can't catch it, and then we're introduced to. I think Stu. Yeah, Stu. Yeah, they leave, but yeah, Franny and them they leave. They find hope somewhere else. Then we introduced to Stu Redmond. Stu worked at was friends with somebody who owned a gas station, and a certain event happens, and you think it's somebody that might be under the influence, but it's really the virus. And then they meet the person and they try to save him and his family. And then when you meet Stu, you find out he's in the facility. And it's a reason why he's in the facility. And just a reason why he's there. Because he's immune. Stuff happens. Stuff happens there. Everything might not be what it seems at the facilities. and then you find out that the virus is more deadlier than they thought. Everybody, more people are coming down. There's a patient zero. Let's see what else. Medical authorities get involved about the immune, and that was part of Harold's plan. He wanted to go find the CDC because he know they immune. Maybe they could find some way to stop the virus with their immune system. Maybe it's something in them that could be used as a cure or to stop the immune system. The immune system to stop the virus. So then, a custom months later, they're in Boulder, Colorado, where now Harold he helps. They got they still got jobs and structures and stuff. So they gather. Luckily, the people who are survivors, they know how to use construction stuff. They know how to use this. They know how to use that. So they're in Boulder, Colorado. And one of them now, the only job there is since the world ended, the only job there is like getting rid of the dead. They started a whole community. They all the word got around the United States that there's a place where for the people who don't have the virus, because the only people who's still continuing to live is people who don't have the virus, who is immune to the virus, I should say. So everybody convene in Boulder, Colorado. They have jobs. You see, one job is for people. They got jobs for people who to clear out the houses so that they could be livable again. They try to get rid of the stench, the rotten dead bodies. You got people whose job it is to help shelter the fellow survivors and give them jobs and stuff. They still one person you'll see in the second episode. I'll talk more about in the second episode. They find a person who's a teacher, but everybody got a job. Everybody has a job to do. Let's see what else. And certain people meet patient zero. You'll see in episode 1, people meet patient zero. Let's see. What else I need to talk about? Oh yeah. So there's certain things happen with Franny and Harold that leads Harold down a bad path, and you'll see what bad path it is. You'll see who plays a role into Harold going down this bad path, because he doesn't go down this bad path on his own. He's kind of giving a little push down this bad path, but and then he does some very the episode ends with him doing some very one of the final scenes, I should say, is him doing some very evil like things. I don't want to say what it is, but he do some evil things that make you like, oh God, he's getting into Harold's head, And then it's revealed that it's revealed how this happened. It's revealed in a flashback that Randall subtly. I won't tell you how he do it, but he subtly been manipulating things to happen that way. He manipulated certain events to happen to where the virus gets spread out like this. So, because we all know, if you know what the stand is, that he has something to do with it. But overall, it was a good episode. Episode 1 was good. I don't love it. But it's captivating. I'm in the middle of finishing up episode 2, so I could do the video for episode 2. But I wanted to do this before I forget that. Before I get too much information in my brain, I wanted to make sure I'm able to do this video for episode 1. I give this episode I give this episode an 8.5 big ups, just because it wasn't things. It was slow in other parts. It was slow in some parts. Some parts I was just like, it's kind of for the story, but it's kind of not. It's kind of like a throwaway thing, but it's kind of not. But it was just some things in the show was slow to me. But other than that, it was like when I say slow, when you hear me say slow, I don't mean like they were just like moving in slow motion. I mean like the story. It didn't really connect with the story, so it was like a slow down moment for the story. Like they slowed it down just to get this moment that might hint to something in the future episodes, but really don't have nothing particular to do with what's going on right now. And those are good if you're doing right. But other than that, everything else was good. I love how each episode. I'm finding like that each episode might be structured around a certain person. Like episode 2, like episode 1 was about Franny, Harold, and Stu, and then episode 2 still got Stu in it, and still got Franny and Harold, but it's more about a different person, and you'll see that. But overall, yeah, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I'm going to continue to watch it and do reviews on it. If you can hit that like, subscribe, and share, and notification button, leave a comment. Greatly appreciate it. As always, to the next one. Peace.